Kia ora koutou, welcome to the Empire Tech Cave. I am your resident tech and gaming guy, Dave, and today we are going to take a look at a PSVR2 launch title, which I believe was also out on the original PSVR as well. What is it? It's a rhythm violence endless runner game. It's called Thumper, and man, is it a trip. I'm not sure whether or not I really understand Thumper, but then I don't need to, because playing this game is something between an acid trip and a continuous flow state where you are just there. There is nothing except you and the track ahead of you and the sound in your head, and it is, well, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's probably something not dissimilar to finding yourself in a deep meditative state, I would say. For me, it was strange. Like after the first moment or two of the game, when you sort of got the basic handle of the controls and you started to sort of feel the background rhythm, and you kind of get this sort of this tunnel vision where there's nothing except you and the path ahead and the next action that you have to take, and it's very easy to disconnect your head and not think about this game and just be present in it, which actually is really cool in its own way. It's quite distinct and different from a lot of the other VR experiences that are available on the PSVR2, in my opinion, because it doesn't need you to continuously think about, enemies and opposition, environmental layouts or puzzle. There is just you, and you are this small, strange scarab beetle running on an endless track with a deep rhythmic soundtrack that you are an active part of in your head. And I like that. I think that that's got some seriously interesting gameplay hooks, I would say, because for me, what I liked most about this game was exactly that they had taken the VR medium and made it more about immersion within a specific concept, as opposed to creating a rich and vibrant world that you have to continuously interact with and move around in. This one, you don't have to move at all. You find a comfortable seat, you sit down, and you are the scarab bug. So I thought that was quite interesting. Now, as far as the game goes, criticisms, it's a one-trick pony. You are having an endless run, and until you're not very good at it anymore, and then you crash and burn horribly, like I have in a couple of places. But one thing that I found is that when I was playing this and sort of got into the moment and got into that kind of that flow state, I became deeply invested in the idea of trying to maintain that flow, and I found the experience of making a mistake to be very, very jarring. It kind of it was almost upsetting, because it felt like I was breaking that flow state. And I don't know whether or not this is something that everyone's going to experience if they try out this game, but I think this is one of those games where you're like, you look at it and you go, okay, and you give it 5 minutes, and then sort of you could give it 5 more minutes, but then when you look at the clock, an hour and a half has passed, and you're sort of going, oh, okay, that's much more intense than I was expecting it to be. It's a lightweight game, but I think it's one of those games where it's interesting, and I think if you were trying to get somebody across some of the other things that you can do in VR, instead of just creating these big open worlds that are full of adventure and guns and shooting, and you just wanted to give somebody something resembling a trippy meditation moment, then this would be an excellent game for that. And in fact, I'm quite partial to it, like late in the evening when I'm sort of just trying to decompress and not actually be involved in super intense games. It's not to say that this game lacks intensity. It has intense moments, and when you are there and you want to be able to get things right, that is definitely a moment of intensity in this game. But it's different, and you are able to feel different when you play it. If you had already invested in this game for the last PSVR, you may find that you may find that you've already experienced it, but there's no question that it looks really, really good. It's really sharp. It's very high definition, very high refresh rate. So it's 4K 120 frames per second, which means that the endless run, this push forward that you have and the forward momentum of this game is beautifully realized and silky smooth. So yeah, I mean, whilst it's not going to blow anyone away with massive, huge graphical fidelity, it's I would say it's a very polished experience because it knows exactly what it's doing and is delivering against that. For me, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. It's straightforward, it's uncomplicated, but it can draw you in. It is deceptive in how invested you can become. And if you're able to get into that flow state, you will find that this game can be rewarding in its own way, whilst also quite unconventional from a virtual reality experience perspective.